When others perceive you as simple, when they misjudge your stillness for a lack of understanding, do not be disturbed. 99% of people react to this by striving, by trying to prove their worth, and in doing so, they completely miss the profound opportunity that has been offered. To ignore the final insight we explore today is to remain forever a captive of the opinions of others, unknowingly surrendering your own unshakable mountain. Stay with me, for this teaching holds the key to true freedom. Empty vessel. We begin our journey today not with an action, but with an observation of a space. It is the space created when another person, through their own clouded lens of perception, projects upon you an identity that is not your own. They may look at your quietude and call it slowness. They may witness your deliberate pace and name it a lack of ambition. They may feel your peaceful presence and mistake it for a void of intelligence. In this moment of misjudgment, a sacred space is opened. The world, in its constant rush to label, to categorize, to understand through a superficial gaze, has offered you a profound gift, the gift of being underestimated. It has handed you the cloak of invisibility. For the man or woman on a path of conscious cultivation, this is not an insult to be refuted, but a powerful strategic advantage to be embraced with quiet wisdom. They have mistaken your deep, full well for an empty vessel. Our first task is to understand the immense power that lies in allowing them to maintain this illusion without any effort on our part to correct it. The immediate conditioned human reaction to being misjudged or underestimated is a defensive one. The ego, that part of ourselves which is constructed entirely from the opinions and reflections of others, feels a deep wound. It cries out to be seen correctly, to be validated, to have its perceived intelligence and worth acknowledged by the outside world. It wants to speak up, to offer proof, to correct the record, to demonstrate its cleverness. This impulse, though deeply ingrained, is a spiritual trap. It immediately pulls you out of your center, your own mountain of inner stillness, and throws you into their battlefield, a field defined by their rules, their values, and their limited perceptions. The moment you engage in this battle, the moment you feel the need to prove them wrong, you have already lost. You have given them the power to define the terms of your own peace. You have handed them the keys to your inner state, allowing their perception to dictate your emotional and energetic response. This is a draining, fruitless, and ultimately unwinnable war, for you are fighting a phantom in their mind, not a reality in the world. Therefore, the first discipline we must cultivate is the art of becoming the empty vessel. When they pour their judgments, their projections, their condescension into you, you do not hold on to it. You do not absorb it. You do not even resist it. You simply allow it to pass through you, like water through a net. You remain internally empty of their opinion. This is not a passive act of weakness, but an active, profoundly powerful act of non-engagement. You offer them no surface to cling to, no wall to push against. Your silence, your calm non-reaction becomes a mirror. In it, they are not confronted by your anger or your arguments, but by the awkward echo of their own arrogance, their own lack of perception. The energy they have projected outwards, seeking a target, finds none in you. Having nowhere to land, it simply dissipates, or more often than not, it reflects back upon them, illuminating their own inner state. This requires immense inner strength, a steadfast refusal to allow the turbulence of another's mind to become the weather in your own soul. It is the practice of honoring your own inner peace above all else. This practice of the empty vessel is a deep form of training for the spirit. Each time someone underestimates you and you choose not to react, you are strengthening a spiritual muscle. You are untethering your sense of self-worth from the fickle, ever-changing winds of external validation. You are relocating the seat of your identity from the minds of others to the unshakable core of your own being. With each conscious act of non-reaction, you become more sovereign, more self-possessed. You begin to understand on a cellular level that what others think of you is truly none of your business. Their thoughts are a product of their own history, their own fears, their own limitations. It has in reality very little to do with you. The you they are judging is a character they have created in their own mind. Why would you ever feel the need to defend or correct a work of fiction authored by another? By embodying the empty vessel, you achieve a profound liberation. You are free to move, to act, to be, unburdened by the weight of having to manage the perceptions of everyone you meet. This is the first taste of true spiritual freedom, sacred silence. From the foundation of the empty vessel, we move into the active cultivation of what I call sacred silence. This is not merely the absence of speaking, it is a potent, strategic, and deeply observant state of being. The silence we cultivate is not an empty, vacant silence. It is a rich, full, and listening silence. When another person has cast their judgment upon you, when they have decided you are dumb or simple, they simultaneously stop truly seeing you. They believe they have you figured out, and so they lower their own defenses. In their perceived position of superiority, they become careless. They reveal themselves, their motivations, their insecurities, their strategies, with a candidness they would never afford an individual they perceived as an equal or a threat. Your silence, therefore, becomes your greatest tool for gathering wisdom, for seeing the truth of the situation without the distortion of your own ego's need to interject. You become the quiet center of the room, and from this still point, you can observe the true dynamics at play, seeing not just the words being spoken, but the energies moving beneath them. This sacred silence is a profound act of energy conservation. As we have discussed, reacting, defending, and arguing is an immense drain on our vital life force, our chi. It is like leaving a tap open, allowing your precious inner resources to spill out into a fruitless conflict. By choosing silence, you seal that tap. You consciously decide to keep your energy, your power for yourself. You refuse to squander it in a low-frequency battle of egos. This conserved energy does not just sit dormant. It builds. It pools within you, strengthening your core, clarifying your mind, and fortifying your spirit. While the other person is expending their energy trying to assert their dominance or project their own narrative, you are calmly and quietly gathering strength. This is an immense shift in power dynamics, one that is completely invisible to the unobservant eye. They may believe they are winning the social exchange because they are doing all the talking, but in the economy of energy, they are rapidly going bankrupt while you are becoming profoundly wealthy. This is the secret alchemy of the wise. The nature of your silence is critical. It must not be a petulant, resentful, or aggressive silence. A tense silence is still a form of engagement. It is a loud declaration of your displeasure, and it still gives the other person power over your emotional state. The sacred silence we cultivate is one of rooted, peaceful, and almost benevolent neutrality. It is the silence of a great mountain observing the passing of clouds. The clouds may be stormy and dark, but they do not disturb the core of the mountain. Your demeanor should be one of serene attentiveness. Your gaze should be calm, your posture relaxed. You are not waiting for your turn to speak. You are simply witnessing the unfolding of a moment in time. This quality of peaceful presence is deeply disarming to the egoic mind. The ego expects a fight. It understands the language of conflict. It does not know what to do with authentic peace. Your serene silence creates a vacuum where their aggression or condescension cannot find purchase, and it often makes them profoundly uncomfortable as they are left alone with the nature of their own projection. This practice extends beyond a single interaction. It is about cultivating an entire way of life where you speak less and observe more. It is about valuing what you can learn from listening over what you can prove by speaking. The world is full of noise, of people clamoring to be heard, to broadcast their opinions, to assert their identity. By choosing the path of sacred silence, you become a sanctuary in the midst of this storm. You learn to find clarity not by adding your own voice to the chaos, but by allowing the chaos to reveal its own nature in the space of your quiet observation. This develops within you a profound sense of discernment. You begin to see people and situations with a crystal clarity that is impossible when your own mind is clouded with the need to react and speak. You learn who to trust, not by their words, but by their energy. You learn the true nature of a situation, not by the superficial story being told, but by the subtle currents you can only perceive when you are still. This is how silence becomes your greatest teacher and your most powerful shield. It allows wisdom to arise from within, rather than being sought from without. In a mountain, now with the conserved energy from your sacred silence and the non-reactive state of the empty vessel, you begin to build what I call the inner mountain. This is the ultimate aim of the practice. It is the cultivation of an inner state of being that is so solid, so stable, and so deeply rooted in its own truth that the winds of external opinion can blow with hurricane force and not disturb a single stone. This is not an arrogant or unfeeling state. It is a state of profound self-possession and unshakable inner peace. Your sense of worth, your understanding of your own path, is derived entirely from your connection to your own spirit, your own deep truth. It is no longer up for negotiation or dependent on the validation or judgment of any external party. This is the inner fortress, the place of ultimate safety and sovereignty. It is built stone by stone with every conscious choice to remain silent, to not react, to conserve your energy, and to observe with compassion and detachment. The destruction spoken of in a provocative title is now understood in its true spiritual context. The thing that is destroyed is not the other person. To wish harm upon another, even one who has misjudged you, is to create a poison that you yourself must drink. Such an intention would instantly demolish your own inner mountain. No, the destruction is the complete and utter annihilation of the power their opinion holds over you. It is the total dismantling of the structure within your own psyche that is dependent on their validation. You destroy their ability to affect you. You destroy the relevance of their judgment to your lived experience. You render their condescension completely and utterly impotent. This is the highest and most profound form of victory. It is a victory that requires no battle, no casualties, and no external acknowledgement. It is a quiet internal realignment that leaves you standing, peaceful and whole, on the solid ground of your own being, while their judgments simply become irrelevant whispers on a passing wind, unable to find any purchase on the solid rock of your inner mountain. How does one actively build this mountain? It is through the dedicated inner work that your conserved energy now makes possible. Instead of wasting your life force on external dramas, you turn that energy inward. You use it to deepen your own practices, whether it be meditation, mindful movement, study, or communion with nature. You use it to clarify your own values, to understand your own purpose. You ask yourself, what is my truth, independent of anyone's applause or criticism? What is the work that I am here to do? What brings me a sense of deep, authentic peace? As you answer these questions for yourself, not with words, but with your very way of living, each answer becomes another solid stone in the foundation of your inner mountain. Your actions become aligned with your own deep truth, not with a reaction to another's falsehood. This is what it means to live an authentic life. It is a life built from the inside out, solid, stable, and true to its own nature, just like a mountain. The final piece of this practice, the insight that is so often missed, is the cultivation of a quiet, dispassionate compassion. As you become more firmly rooted in your own inner mountain, your perspective naturally begins to shift. You no longer see the person who underestimates you as an adversary, but as a teacher of sorts, and perhaps even as someone who is suffering. You begin to see that their need to project superiority or judgment onto you is not a sign of their strength, but a sign of their own deep-seated insecurity, their own inner poverty. A person who is truly at peace, who is whole within themselves, has no need to belittle another. They move with grace, offering respect to all, regardless of their station. When you can see the other person's behavior through this lens of compassion, you have reached the summit of your inner mountain. Their actions can no longer touch you, not because you have built a wall of anger, but because you are standing in a place of such profound understanding that their energy simply cannot reach your altitude. You may even feel a quiet sadness for them, for the inner turmoil that causes them to act in such a manner. This dispassionate compassion is the ultimate seal on your freedom. It is the final destruction of their ability to ever disturb your peace again, for you have replaced the battlefield with a viewpoint of profound and expansive understanding. From this vantage point, you are truly untouchable. This is the victory of the spirit. Let this new understanding permeate your being. The next time you are faced with the subtle barb of condescension or the outright dismissal of your intelligence, let a quiet joy arise within you. See it not as an attack, but as a sacred test, an opportunity to practice this profound art. Welcome the chance to be the empty vessel. Embrace the power of your sacred silence. Feel the stone of non-reaction being placed firmly upon your inner mountain. Know that with each such encounter, you are not being diminished. You are being strengthened, refined, and forged into a being of unshakable substance. You are using the friction of the world to polish the diamond of your own soul. This is the great secret of the spiritual warrior. Every perceived attack is merely another opportunity to deepen one's own peace, to fortify one's own inner ground. They believe they are assessing you, but in truth, life is assessing them through the mirror of your stillness. This is a profound reversal of power, and it is accomplished not with a bang, but with the quiet dignity of a soul that knows its own immeasurable worth, independent of any external measure. So, when they believe you are simple, let them. Their misjudgment is a veil that grants you the freedom to see the truth. While they are occupied with the loud theatrics of their own ego, you are free to tend to the silent, magnificent garden of your own inner world, cultivating the peace that they themselves so desperately, yet unknowingly, seek. This is the path of silent power. It is not about pretending or deceiving. It is about resting so completely in your own truth that the falsehoods of others become utterly irrelevant. It is the understanding that the greatest strength is not the ability to win an argument, but the wisdom to not engage in one. It is the freedom that comes from being unconcerned with being seen. In their world of noise and striving, your silence is not a void, it is a statement. It is a declaration of your inner sovereignty. You have chosen a different kingdom, a different measure of wealth. Their words and judgments are the currency of a realm you no longer inhabit. Let them play their games. You have a mountain to build. Walk forward from this day knowing that the perceptions of others are clouds passing in the sky of your awareness. They are not you. Root yourself in the earth of your own being. Stand tall in the dignity of your own truth. And let your serene, silent presence be the most powerful and eloquent response you could ever offer. In this stillness, you are truly invincible. Considering this teaching on navigating the judgments of others, which aspect presents the greatest challenge and the most profound opportunity for your own practice right now? Becoming the empty vessel, mastering sacred silence, or building the inner mountain?